Thank you very much. Greetings from the Washington DMV, which is not Department of Motor Vehicles. It's the District of Maryland, District, Maryland, Virginia. I'm David Searby. I'm a past president of my club and retired U.S. Foreign Service officer. And for a few years now, I've really been focusing on what I would call domestic peace issues. And I'm kind of it's not just because I tend to be a centrist, but it's because I really think that great ideas come from everywhere. They come from both parties, and I just feel that the more we can talk to each other and be open-minded, like Rotarians tend to be, the better off we're going to be. So a little while ago, I had a great meeting that I can show you about. May I share a PowerPoint with you that I will try to go through pretty quickly that kind of explains it?
Sure.
Good. Can you see that?
Yes.
Wonderful. First of all, can you introduce yourselves? And I'd like to welcome you to this great meeting. Go ahead.
So I guess I'll go first. I'm Brinet Greenlee, and
Brinet, not Brinet.
Not French. Yeah,
Brinet. Oh, good.
And I'm the district governor for 5230, which is the central coast of California, and then the Central Valley, 4 counties out here, separated by a mountain range, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I've been a Rotarian for 11 years now, and retired elementary school principal.
Wonderful. Thank you for your service. They don't get that to teachers enough.
They don't. You're right.
Jeff.
Brinet, I thank you as well for your work in education. That's fantastic. I also thank you, David, for what you've done and are doing. I like that. I like the focus that you have. I'm Jeff Simmons. I just very, very recently became the district governor nominee for 7280.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. No, we did not have anybody in our district, and I decided that I would do it.
You weren't voluntold?
No, I'd avoided it over some years, but just because I couldn't do it while working, although I'm still working, but I am going to retire at the end of next May. And so that will put me in a better position time-wise to be able to do it.
And
But
you've also done some youth work, right, Jeff?
Yeah. I'm currently the outbound coordinator for our district's Rotary Youth Exchange program. I've been doing that for over 10 years, helping to recruit students from our district, which covers the northwestern corner of Pennsylvania. So the suburbs in the next county north of Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is, all the way to the northern part of our state, and that's where we're located. But yes, I've been involved in the Rotary Youth Exchange program for a number of years and have helped clubs that I've been a part of with the inbound students as well, but mostly focused on outbound. And I'm, it's occurred to me over the last few years that I really love the aspect of this program, that it does help promote good in the world in terms of introducing people from our country to students from other countries, and students from here meeting others and helping to break down those barriers.
Sounds amazing.
Being a part of that.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about our youth component in here, but let me go ahead and get started. This is great. This program was inspired by the theme for this year, and from the July 2025 issue. This is a direct quote from the magazine, from that magazine, where Rotary members are to be a force for unity in a world increasingly divided by politics, geography, and ideology. And that to me tells me we need to stretch our comfort zones a little bit in terms of how we engage people and be willing to have difficult conversations under the right circumstances. That's and sort of really be the glue that holds this world together. I want to start with what Unite for Good DMV will do. So what we're looking at, as you know, is to try to get 20 or 30 out-of-town Rotarians to come as guests to the Washington DMV. Tentative dates are March 11th through the 16th, but we won't really know that until we get the congressional calendar after Thanksgiving sometime. We already have the 2 districts because we have the support of those congressional members. We want to really want to show how Rotarians get the job done, because we're a mixed group and we don't have litmus tests for ideology or politics. We just want people to hold some basic principles like the 4-way test, and we're good. And this is about domestic peace building. So we will receive support from a professional event organizer. We have the whole budget. There's a whole spreadsheet with all the costs and stuff laid out. So we've already done all that work in advance. We can get into that maybe at a later date with that person on the line. The real overarching goals are very similar to an international convention. Have you all ever gone to an international Rotary convention?
Yes.
One. Yes.
Oh, I love them. They're fantastic. So what we really think this is similar like this, that we're looking at trying to create real partnerships. One of the things we hoped is that the Rotarians from California, Pennsylvania would find something they can continue working on together. Just anything. And then, get Rotarians excited about Rotary, just like these conventions. I always leave these, I've been to many of them, and I leave these conventions very excited. And most of all, trying to get the Rotary culture out there and just our ways of doing business. And the reason I raised the convention is that the finances are done very similar to the convention. We can do more about that, but I would want to get the event planner on board before we do a deep dive into how the finances would work. But this is just a general introduction to the concept. We've already had a great launching event that shows the potential. In June, we had a bunch of Rotarians come, and Ravi and Mandy, our district governors now, both participated. And we got a free space at the Smithsonian American Art Museum. We got a free tour designed for us. And there's a lot of institutions that'll give us free spaces and really kind of open the red carpet for this kind of group. People are excited when they hear about this. What we will not do, we're really not focusing on Congress, although that will always be an important part of any trip, especially to sort of stretch that limit a little bit and show how Rotarians can engage their members of Congress as Rotarians and not as partisans. We are not here to try to influence the U.S. federal government, spending. We're not trying to make Rotary partisan or more political in the sense of taking sides. We're not going to take sides on partisan issues. We don't want to be a vehicle for criticizing anybody. It's more the positive example we're trying to share. And we certainly don't want to mess up anything like on appropriations, because Rotary actually has a lot of money in the game on polio vaccines. And we've got the full blessing of the polio folks, because they know, I used to do congressional affairs work for the State Department. I know how not to cross, keep in my lane, as they say. The meetings we would have on Congress are already based on success. We already had a great meeting with G.T. Thompson and Jimmy Panetta in April of 2024. And it was basically, the subject was, we want you guys to support service organizations more. What can you do to support us? And they love these meetings because they're often, they can lead to something concrete and really cool. We're not looking for federal money, but they can go back to their districts and really kind of show that they're working with Rotary and Lions Club and all these other ones, and they get something out of these meetings. And we think that members of Congress would love these meetings if we made them routine. We already have a lot of organizations and people who are really excited about this. And again, some of these will provide free venues, some of them just a great person to join a meeting. Um, Patricia Schaefer is with the New Gen Peace Builders. Jeff, do you know anything about them?
I do not.
Well, they specialize on, they're nonpartisan and they specialize in getting youth people involved. And they've said that they would be in charge of every single, if as many trips as we get to Washington, they will get a great youth component there. And it'll always be varied. And, putting Rotarians together with youth. And of course, we have our own Rotaract and Interact folks who would be supportive. But this way, we have an organization that would sort of take over every single time we get one of these, if we succeed, if the first one is successful and people like this and we continue, then New Gen Peace Builders wants to be like every single time these folks come to Washington, they want to be part of the agenda. Really great groups mentioned there. If you have any questions, I could ask you, I could tell you about the organizations, but they're great. We would partner with Rotary groups that are already actively promoting domestic peace issues. All of these organizations are active, they're nonpartisan. American Promise in particular, I don't know if you know about these folks, but they have like these action on congressional campaign spending, which when you hear that, you're like, oh my God, how are you going to get Republicans and Democrats to, agree on that? And it's amazing what they've achieved. I'm floored about how they've gotten a very even balance of red and blue and purple in their groups, and they're very excited about this. And they also have a very active organization in Jeff's district that wants to do this. So they would be a very active supporter of Rotary Unite for Good if we got this off the ground. So about half of the substantive part of these trips to Washington would be on domestic peace building issues, as I said. We would give, but the other half would be on what do you guys want? So Brinet and Jeff, your group, your organization would work with Jeff's Rotarians, and they'd say, all right, the other 50% of the substantive meetings in Washington could be on any of these issues. I'm sorry, what?
Just lost you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, you lost me? I was
Yeah,
going to say, did you hear about about 50% of the substantive part of these meetings in Washington would be on domestic peace building issues, right? But 50% would be on any issue you want. So, what is it that your clubs and your districts are interested in that you'd like to do? And maybe district, 50, Burnet's district, picks something on basic, education and literacy. Or maybe Jeff's district says, well, we're really interested in doing projects on water, sanitation, and hygiene. Or maybe you guys both find something that you're interested in. There are countless organizations in Washington in these areas that would love to have substantive meetings with you guys, and we'll set them up. These groups would have pre-trip training and practice exercises in Rotary conflict resolution principles. We would put people in small groups because you don't have good, discussions when it's 30 people in a room. Things can get tense. But you can actively encourage people to discuss areas of differences in smaller groups with a lot of success. And we have Rotarians ready to moderate those groups. This would be a lot of fun, seeing a small group session where you intentionally bring up stuff that's political and partisan and have people, and a lot of it is by starting out by storytelling. This is a great, just one example. People tell their stories about why they came to view certain issue in a certain way, and you humanize them that way. There are all sorts of techniques that you can use to get people to listen to people who disagree with you. Another thing we would do in all of these events would be to use the music and graphic arts. We've already done in our district lots of work in this area. one of the main sponsors of this project with the George Mason University Carter School, Carter Center, Carter School for Peace is Mel Hardy, and he's great at using graphic arts to do nuclear disarmament. It's a really powerful way of talking about that issue. One of the things we would love to do if we do it in the spring of 2026 is kind of have at least one meeting that talks about, we want all the Rotarians there to be ambassadors for a great 4th of July. And we want to keep partisan politics out of our big birthday. And that's regardless of which side of the politics you're on. Because I think anybody who's a critic of the current government, a supporter of the current government, you should be able to loudly and proudly celebrate your 4th of July without trying to use it for your partisan advantage. We're hoping Rotarians can be an advocate. And when they see that kind of stuff happening, because it will happen, maybe try to find ways to say, hey, did you think about this? And anyway, at least not practice, do the bad stuff, and maybe be an advocate for a great 4th of July next year. Of course, one of the aspects of Rotary is the 5th part of the 4-way test. And this is actually an example of where this model is even better than our international conference models, because we already have Rotarians opening up their homes for free for this. We already have Rotarians opening up their houses for people who can't afford a hotel stay. We already have people, really excited to lower the cost of the trip to Washington and make it more personal and make it more fun. And we can do this, a lot. All it takes is one Rotarian per trip to open up their home. All it takes either for a few people to host people as for their stays and a few people to host a party, and you're good. I'm not going to talk about our district supporting clubs, because we have both partner clubs who are putting in money in their homes, and we have other ones who are like, let's see if this is great, and we're ready to do the next one if it turns out this first pilot trip is successful. So one of the things you want to do with this is, what are the measurables and deliverables? Like, what are we actually achieving to hope? And these are the kinds of things that we would measure. How many people participated, members of staff, did the members of Congress like it? What peace building skills did Rotarians demonstrate, in these meetings? What Rotarian organizations meet that might help us? Did the trip include a service project? Everyone, we hope, will include a service project. And then the post-trip surveys, we would do these surveys to see whether people thought this pilot trip was a success, and then report back and decide whether we do another trip after that. The main deliverable, as I said, is just to boost our presence in America. And if this pilot trip succeeded and we had Rotarians from around the United States lining up to come to Washington, I think it really would boost the Rotary way of doing business and our values, both in DC and the DMV and around the United States. And the steps forward, we've already done step 1. We've got the members of Congress, our district governors, our clubs ready to go. What we were hoping to do with you all would be discuss, how I could help recruit some folks to actually come, and they would hear how much it would cost, when we would do that, and just start those conversations with your clubs, maybe by Zoom. I would be willing to travel there if there's on my own nickel. Maybe somebody could host me in their homes, or I'd be happy to be in a hotel. But I'd be happy to go to a big conference and present this idea, or big group where you have everybody located, and I can be there in person. But the actual recruitment process has to start pretty soon, because what we want to do is have hopefully 50 people saying 25 from each, even though we would only be able to take 20, and say we're potentially interested. And then when we actually firm up a date, that's when we would say, all right, here's the date, who can put a deposit down, and then confirm the final. We would confirm the final 2026 date, as I said, after Thanksgiving, and we would definitely start working on a schedule. After we get the people who are potentially interested, but it doesn't really make sense to involve the event planner and start, because he's not going to get paid until, by the way, he's giving us a great rate and he's super enthusiastic about this. And the event planner allows us to make this sustainable. It can continue with volunteer Rotarians and not getting any money from Rotary or districts or things like that. And that is basically it.
Okay. So you're thinking from each of our districts, 20 people for a total of 40 or 10 and 10?
I would say no. I would say the ideal group would be 30 total. So it'd be 10 or 15 from each district.
From each, okay.
But I'd rather have more people interested in potentially going and then have like a waiting list and make it some kind of people excited to do it and expect more people to want to go than can go. Because I think that there's a real yearning out there for people to lower the tensions and just, can't we work together? Why can't we all get along kind of thing, So
yeah, it's kind of turbulent times with everything that's happening in our country right now. But I'm interested in the idea. I think it would depend on, in terms of getting participation. Of course, it would depend on the date, and then because I just based on you mentioning March 11th through whatever the dates you said.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for us.
Again, you guys would help us pick the dates.
Yeah. So
the cost, by the way, is travel, lodging, and maybe the lodging can be free for people who really need it. Although we're hoping to group a lot of the folks in the same hotel for a lot of reasons, and it would be anywhere from $400 to $600 on top of that, which is the rate you pay when you go to an international conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just off the top of the head.
Yeah, I think it would depend on all of those things, of course. But I do think that I would probably have people in my district who would be interested in this.
Well, we would pick a date. The trip is there to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
And so certain dates might be a little more expensive than others, but only marginally.
Yeah.
And I think that you would find that when people understand they're taking a trip to Washington, there'll be time for fun. There'll be time for, museum visits and a little free time so you can get to go see Washington. But there's going to be a lot of substance and there's going to be a lot of freebie events and stuff. And you will come away like I did when I went to those international conferences saying, man, I thought the extra money I paid for them to organize all this stuff and the stuff I saw was worth it. Like, for example, for music events, we would almost work exclusively with nonprofit organizations that would put on a free event for us, but we'd give them a stipend, maybe a $500 stipend. Hey, we love what you're doing. Here's $500, but we're not paying for the tickets. We're paying a contribution to them as nonprofits, and they're supporting us as nonprofits too, as volunteers. So I think people would find that they would feel they got their money's worth at the end of it. But we'll see if we get it off the ground.
Okay.
Jeff, any questions?
I'm very interested. I really like what you presented. But I want to ask, is this something that's just limited to our districts?
No. The idea is, if this is successful, we would want to announce on the 4th of July of 2026 that this was a big success and that we're continuing them. Probably for the fall of 2026, possibly September, October, November, December. Now, I would be able to do all four of those with the event planner and completely, working with the event planner. I would lead those trips again. And what we would do is we would go to G.T. Thompson and Jimmy Panetta and said, that was awesome, wasn't it? And they'll say, yes. All right, can you get us a list of members of Congress who want to do this also, and we'll start arranging this with their their districts. And I think the members of Congress would love this kind of thing. It just makes them look good. Members of Congress like meetings where they're not asked for anything hard, and they just look good in front of their constituents. And I think that we'd have a lot of members of Congress say yes, and then we would set up these, and we'd be able to announce, more coming down the road. Now, would it continue long term? I would say after a few more, after that we would evaluate and see whether, this would be a full-time job for me, and I'm happy to do it. But obviously long term, I actually need a real job one day I'm looking for a job in the nonprofit sector. I love working in the area of domestic peace building. Maybe there's an organization, probably not Rotary, that could take this to the next level, where we're doing it not just for Rotary, but for any service organization like Lions and Kiwanis and Knights of Columbus. I just think this idea in general rocks, of getting service organizations to come to Washington and meet with their members of Congress and get stuff done and move beyond partisanship. But I'm happy to do it for the next year and a half or so, just to see where this goes. And if people love it, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I support it. Refocusing my question for this event, is the hope that the attendees are coming from District 5230 and 7280 exclusively?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively, yes. So what we picked those intentionally because we're not going to do obviously a litmus test of anybody's politics or ideology, but we're kind of hoping that Brinet's district will include a little lefty-leaning folks, and Jeff's district will include folks on the right and red.
Not lefty-leaning.
and Jeff's district will include some people who lean right and are red. And then what we would do is we would show how, yeah, we're mixed, and these people liked each other, and they actually got along, and they found areas of common ground, and they agreed to disagree on stuff, and that's kind of what Americans need to do in general. So yes, we intentionally pick one red district and one blue district because we are trying to find a balance and show that Rotarians don't let politics get in the way of getting good stuff done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I will do my best to make this happen for District 7280. Somehow and even though we're much closer than Brinet's district, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about our turning out the 10 to 15, but I would do everything possible to make that happen. And so I'm just bringing this up. Could our neighboring, could we, if we initially got to a slow point, would it be possible to extend it to neighboring districts, which
Sure.
would be equally diverse, I think?
Well, there are two other districts that are potentially involved because, as you can imagine, the congressional maps don't perfectly align with the Rotary maps. Mm-hmm. So I actually put on the email chain the other two district governors who are, in G.T. Thompson's district and Jimmy Panetta's district. If you all could reach out to those district governors and say, hey, we're potentially interested, any chance you guys could join us? And, really, again, there's no commitment from the district governors, zero. In terms of participation, money, we'd love you to come along. It's not required. What we really want you to do is endorse the idea and help me set up Zoom calls and show up in live meetings, one live meeting at least. Jeff, you're a little easier to get to. I could drive there. That I'd maybe like to limit my flight to California to one, which I'm happy to do. When it works for you. I'm retired. I can go when you need me. And, I really want to pitch this idea. I want to get Rotarians pumped to really kind of like understand that we need to do this. Are there risks? Absolutely. Is there a risk that this could be seen as, one day it could somehow be seen as involved in partisan? Yeah, but I think those are very minimal. But I think the real risk is not doing something. The real risk is not being loud and proud about our values and confident that Rotarians can get this done. And we can put our partisan feelings aside and use it to unify our country. I really think this is a pivotal moment for our country and Rotary, and we can make a big difference. We'll be a success story. We'd be one of those creepy success, those weird success stories you see on the news, like all the news is bad, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, look at this. And like, you'll be like, well, we'll be on like ABC News, like, wow, isn't this amazing? You know, it's the man bites dog kind of story. Ahead,
what would be the next step from here, from today?
The next step would be to set up a conference call for as many people who want to join. Or maybe the next step would be to get other leaders for a smaller group, where you meet Chaz, our event planner, and you kind of get understanding that, oh, wow, yeah, if we actually had an event planner and we paid him not what he's really worth, but something to get this off the ground, this could be sustainable. And you could see how, you know, this could really take off. You know, my end hope is that we're going to have 50 or 60 organizations in Washington who love this idea and are ready to meet with us, so that we could do, and I know this sounds crazy, up to 10 trips a year eventually. Because we just have a cookie cutter approach where we say, you meet with your members of Congress, we're doing this domestic peace building stuff, not with the same organizations each time, maybe with the youth exchange one, because they really want to, you know, do the youth exchange part and they love connecting to Rotary. And we do 10 a year. That's not out of the question, I think. And we would skip the summers and give ourselves a break over the summer, but you could do 10 of these a year and it could be just sort of easy. And we have countless congressional districts to work with. So I do think that, so the next steps, getting back to the next steps, I would say, let's do a more leadership focused talk, maybe invite Mandy and Ravi to that one. And if we can get the other two district governors or some representative of those districts to join, like you guys, and meet Chaz, and you guys can ask him questions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then after that, we would set up a massive Zoom call for as many people who wanted to do it as wanted to join, and introductory sort of info thing. And then at that point, I would be happy to do individual Zoom calls with clubs, and again, keep the ball rolling on just talking about this. And eventually, when we get the congressional schedule, you all would get together and determine when you want to come, and we would make it happen.
Okay.
Hopefully before the 4th of July.
Yeah, hopefully. I have to run because I have to get a granddaughter to school. So yeah, I am interested. I think there would be interest here in our district. So if you wanted to go ahead and set up that next step and then just let us know, and go. I mean, just, there's sort of a framework for this kind of thing in terms of, like Rotary friendship exchanges.
Right.
And, so I think, there's a little bit of a different focus for this kind of thing that you're talking about. But I think, people will get the idea of and the sense of what this is or could be. So
it's kind of like a friendship exchange on steroids.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, let's take the next step and see where we go.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll turn this little video into a little something that can be shared so people can see it, and share it with you guys when I do the call for the next meeting.
Okay. Sounds great. You guys have a really nice Thanksgiving, and I'll look forward to hearing from you to see where we go next. Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Brinet. Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.
Bye.